Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cooler Biz Lounge podcast. My name is Bongani Mzobe, your host for that platform that decodes entrepreneurship and helps you in your journey as you chase your bag. This man always listens to me when I tell entrepreneurs that we have no idea what your bag is. What we do know is that there is a formula to getting it right. And so it's important for us to have this platform where we can share ideas with you, introduce you to people that can inspire a change that brings positivity and growth in your journey of entrepreneurship. I'm not alone today. As usual, I'm with my co-host, Mr. Nick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Baba. How are you?
Oh, good, thanks. And how are you, man?
No, man, I'm cool. I'm
Oh,
all right. I'm
right.
fine.
So we're not going with spoon today, eh?
Oh, snap. That one. You know, it's
Bastard,
funny
huh?
enough, most of the guests, right? They come in. One will just going spoo. I mean, last week's episode, is
Yeah.
spoo, you know, and then others will come in and say Nick, but I'm just okay. You know, as long as the formula is still the same thing, so it's fine. It's fine. I made peace. And funny enough, you know, when you actually asking this question makes a lot of sense for this particular episode, because you find that we having a guest today who is able to enable the less advantaged people to have access to the same basic banking and credit facility that is just the norm on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Right? And when you say this, and the reason why I say this is because generally somebody would say Nick, they'll see fluent English, right? And then they'll say Spoo, they'll see okay, Zulu, Kasi, whatnot. But to actually have it in one song, it's actually quite great, right? But like I say, without further ado, we've got Mr. Andrew Katzwinkel. He is here to let us know as to how is he solving people's problems. But then again, before that, who's Andrew? Hey, bud, how's it?
How's it, guys? How's it?
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me. It's fantastic to be out here in the city of gold.
Yeah.
The sun is shining and it's lovely to have a cold beer this Friday afternoon. Let's get chatting.
Let's make it happen. You know what? This man has an approach of let's hit the ground running. So I don't know how fast we're gonna push this thing. Okay, cool.
I don't know how long we've got, but let's
we've got all the time in the world, but we have everything else to do, so it's fine. So we'll manage. So Andrew, man, thank you for making time for us to have a chat with you. One of the things that has stood out for us is having you as an entrepreneur who dabs into fintech, as much as people tend to look at fintech closer to banking, but we have experienced banking being one of the most red-taped industries in the country.
True.
Right? And we then look at fintech coming in and we thinking to ourselves, okay, it's IT. We don't know technology, we whatever. But that would mostly be another red tape. So I would like firstly to find out from you as to, has it always been within you to be entrepreneurial, or you just found something and you became passionate about it and then you moved?
I would say for me, it's been an innate ability. I mean, I can go back to age 9 and 10. Selling sweets from a little tuck shop that I created at school, selling marbles and things like that to card games and stuff. So I think the entrepreneurial spirit was within me, but it definitely developed as I've gone through my business career, and it really came into the foreground at the latter parts of my university days, and I actually just had a lot of ideas that were coming to mind, and I actually created this little book. And the first thing that I wrote in that book was an idea in a day will pay the bills.
Okay.
Something like that. And I just would write these simple little ideas down in this book. I still got the book today. I probably should go through it. And it allowed me just to really think of identify problems and think of solutions. And yeah, a lot of different ideas that I tried and attempted and failed, or realized that it was just an idea and it wouldn't really last. Until I landed on what I'm working on today, and I'm fully invested into the idea. Heart, blood, sweat, and tears. And now we are embarked on this journey to let's try solve this problem.
And I like the fact that you basically fetch it from the time when you were about 9 years old, 10 years old, from a micro level, right? To say, okay, within my own reach, what can I do, right? And I've got friends, they might want this. I know them because I am them, and I'll sell the marbles. There's people, I love marbles, I'll sell them, right? There's people like that. And to grow into it to a large extent as you become, as your world opens up, and you don't change the core reasons why you have that. And I think also having to have that book, that constant reminder. When you said book, I thought maybe you're going to say you had a ledger for people that owe you or something.
I'm not Scrooge McDuck, but yeah, it was a book.
It was a book. Oh, okay. No. Then I was thinking to myself, okay, there's quite a lot of people that owe you something, so maybe we'll tap onto those people. So, you, from my understanding, you're from Durban, right?
Yes, originally born and bred eThekwini, and yeah, Upper Highway area was where I was born and raised. Yeah, thankfully, amazing mother and father that are in the service industry, so they sell time, and that time is meaning that you don't earn when you don't work.
Yeah,
and they have, thankfully and very appreciatively. Supported me through my career to get educated and be in a position where I'm able to kind of start a business. So that foundation was a big part. A strong foundation is a big part, and I'm very thankful to my parents for that.
But now, okay, so Durban, right? And then you now passionate about business. Durban is quite slow. Right, it's quite chill. It's a holiday, right? It's a holiday. It's not like Cape Town. Cape Town is a holiday, but you need to work because it's expensive, right? But Durban, you okay? You can push.
You can just relax.
But then now you are dabbling in Joburg, right? And in Joburg, it's a jungle. Right, it's not your mother's house. It's not your mother's house.
That's for sure.
Because everybody here came to work. Nobody's gonna say I'm from Joburg. I was, no. Here we had to work, and you. One thing that you mentioned is the fact that your mother, your parents actually, as a whole, they sell time, and how you actually position that to say what you apply is what you get. At the end of the day, is quite a good foundation for an entrepreneur to understand that you don't just sit and daydream that if I win the lotto I'll get a Ferrari, and then I'll get a house, and then it will maintain itself and all those things. But when you have that idea and you have that background where you're seeing your parents doing those things and some of them sacrificing time with you to actually bring you something better that you need rather than what you want, to grow up and understand that actually the sacrifice, I see it. Not a lot of people get that opportunity, irrespective of whether color, creed, or race, or whatever the case may be. Having both your parents show you that the sacrifices that they make, and then you're able to experience the returns on that is quite something as a parent to have.
Important.
Yeah,
it's quite important.
I mean, I 100% agree with you. You said that is that they showed up, and they showed up every day. And when you're young, you don't really understand, and I think it's because you're too young to fully understand the sacrifices that your parents are making. But as you grow older, and I think this is for so many people, you start realizing when looking back at how hard it must have been for your parents to have got through the things that they got through.
That's true.
And if you take a second and reflect, you really can step back and be appreciative of what they did. And I sure am. And, it's a thing within the black culture, African culture, where it's about looking after your family when once you've grown into being a businessman yourself and stuff like that. And I don't feel that it's actually such a thing within the white culture, and it's something that I definitely would like to be in a position one day to be able to do for my parents, and be able to give back to my parents for the hard work and sacrifices that they've made for me.
Wow. I like the fact that you gained so much as a person from your upbringing and what your parents displayed before you as you're growing as a child. But importantly, I assume there must be a lot of other people who play different roles in shaping the person that you are. What type of influences, did you have outside your home environment as you grew?
Sure. So from a business perspective, I've been very lucky to have an incredible co-founder with the business that I'm working with now. Okay. Got the grey hairs, gone through the business journey a few times himself.
Yeah.
And to have a partner that you can rely on, that that's got your back and that is providing you the most honest advice possible. You got to be careful who you get your advice from and who your mentor is, and to have a rock like that, I think, has been a big part of the reasons why we've made some good early successes within the business.
Wow.
And a really fantastic individual, and someone that we've now become close friends, a confidant, a person that I can phone any day of the week, and we could have a good hour, 2 hour chat about personal or business.
Yeah.
And I know that I would leave that conversation with kind of a clear direction of what to do next.
Yeah.
Then thinking back slightly further than that, I was lucky enough to, in my earlier days of starting my first business, go through an accelerator program called Techstars. It was hosted in Cape Town in 2017, and there was 10 companies around the globe that were selected, and we were lucky enough to be one of them.
Wow.
And it was a 3-month program, and the main guy of that program is still a mentor of mine today, and he has he taught me so much within that 3-month period that was incredible, that I almost wanted to kind of leverage and learn off him through my journey. And if I go back, we're 2022 now, that's 5 years of mentorship from a guy that's has gone on and done incredible things in the States, and to have those words of wisdom along this journey has really helped guide me in terms of making better decisions and finding the difficult answers in this very kind of difficult place to navigate.
Yeah.
And navigating is also something that people they think that it's not something to worry about. Look at the journey itself is there, but the battles within and how you move towards it, because they're always there to challenge whether are you doing this because you want to do it, or is there a bigger purpose than this? And every battle that you come across, whether you win it or you lose it, you must leave with something that says, I still want to be in this. And to have mentors, right? Mentors that will put you in that place to say, okay, this is where I'm going to do it and stuff. And I like the fact that when you speak now on mentors, you're very specific to say, in business, this is what has happened and happened. And I'm a firm believer that there is no such thing as work-life balance. Maybe there was long ago, but now there's just life balance, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't walk your life over. You can't walk through life working, right? Those days were first and second industrial revolution when production was high, right? Right now, you need to integrate the two. to get the full output of it, right? So from there on, what I'm now tapping on is to say, holistically, or maybe from a different level in terms of not business, but now life-wise, I'm sure you have friends and obviously we touch on the parents part of things, but you engaged with friends and friends came with ideas and you gave them ideas and you engaged, and then somebody said, no, that's not gonna work. No, actually this will work. You know, we have friends. I also have friends that listen to me, but they really don't want to challenge me. If I challenge them, it's a problem. Or then I have friends that said, I don't care about our friendship, but right is right and wrong is wrong. This is what happened.
Yeah.
So on that end, what role did the friends play?
Sure. I'm very lucky to have quite a wide range of friends, and friends that are no longer. I've sadly have had people that I've lost. Two very close friends of mine, and less so maybe on the business advice, me going to my friends. I think a lot of the time for you, going to your friends is the worst people that you can go to for business advice. But it's the life lessons that those friends have taught me, that we've maybe gone through together, that I've had something happen in my life and that I've been able to lean on them. They've been there for me, or vice versa. And I'm very grateful for the group of friends that have helped shape me and to who I am. I have thankfully a best friend that we were born 4 days apart in the same hospital. Our parents then became friends straight after they were born. We were born, and we then went through our whole school career together. And he's just had a baby a week or so ago, and to see that journey of really 35 years, I've just given my age away, of growth and love and heartbreak and success and failure, and then see him now start a new family is a fantastic thing to look at and to be grateful for. So I really cherish the friendships that I've got, and with the loss of those two very dear friends of mine, it's made me realize so much about what life is all about. Live life to the fullest. Take every day as it comes. Don't sweat the small things. And these types of, you said it, is that it's not all about work. If you are not working on yourself individually, to learn, to grow, to become more comfortable in your skin, and all those things that happen to you that got nothing to do with business, translate into the business day. So if you at home and you are not eating healthily, to exercise, to working on yourself, if that might be meditation or breathing or yoga or whatever the case is, that is for you, you're losing out in terms of your full capabilities within your business. And that's why it is a combination of
it does come
both.
across.
And I would add a third one to that, which is actually what we're discussing now, is family and friends. Family, friends, and relationships, and those things need to marry with one another. There's a amazing book that I recently read called Principles by Ray Dalio. Fantastic book. It's a bit of a Bible to read, but it's a fantastic book, and he breaks down his life and work principles very clearly in a great way for people to understand. And I've connected a lot with that, because there's a lot of honesty and clarity in terms of the things that I've gone through in my life, and the challenges that I'm facing right now and that are ahead of me. And I can marry the two. And I can say that when working on yourself, it's not like you will get to the end.
No.
There is no end.
There's no.
Sorry to kind of shoot the lights out here, but there's no the end to it. There's a consistent work until the end of your day, and whatever day that may be. And when you realize that, that the work isn't like a task where you're going to tick it off or get a mark for it like an exam. It is a continuous development of yourself that eventually gets to this place of serenity. And I'm definitely not there, and I think we're all trying to find that.
It's not even a destination,
but it's not. It isn't a destination. It's the journey. It's the journey through it. And on that, it's about actually taking that day by day and enjoying the journey, because you will then get to a point where you might wake up one day and look at the sky and feel like you're at that place, and that you won't know it's 2 days away or 2 weeks away or 10 years away. It's all a matter of small little piecemeal wins that you're doing over your life,
and it builds over time. Yeah, tell me, Andrew. You obviously were born bred in KZN. But you're out here in Joburg now. You call it the wild, wild west. He tells me that you've also spent some time abroad. And I'm wondering, your business, he said earlier that you're one of the few entrepreneurs who've prioritized inclusion in the type of business solution that you've put out to the market. Could that be, a result of how inclusive you are? From your thinking, from your character, and then how accommodating you are of other cultures, of other people. But tell me, how much of your time abroad has that influenced in your approach to business?
A huge amount. I loved my time abroad. It was a fantastic opportunity, and I got to learn a huge amount in a short space of time around different cultures that are in the areas that I was traveling.
And how long were you abroad?
I was abroad for 3.5 years, straight after my studies, and it was at the same time where one of those good friends of mine passed away. I felt that I needed to get out of the country and go and see the world and experience as much as possible whilst in my young 20s.
Get out of this country.
Well, yes. I was in South Africa. Get out of a country and just go traveling
down under Australia, but it's fine.
but with no intention of never leaving. But it turned into, from a 1 year kind of experience, into 3.5 year experience due to the fact of what I was doing. And it after those 3.5 years, I stopped and I realized what it is that I was doing, and it was just a gap year. It was me really backpacking and traveling and working in different places, and I realized that I missed home. I loved South Africa, and that it was time for me to really get into business and start putting my big boy pants on and getting to work. But more so, I wanted to do that in my home country. I wanted to be around my friends, my family, and I have so much admiration for this country and so much love for this country that if there was going to be a place that I was going to invest my energy, it would need it to be here. And this was obviously prior to the concept, but part of that journey of traveling and how it influenced me was that the work that I was doing was making me realize the disparity of the rich and the poor. And essentially, I was a cleaner in the yachting industry. So I was cleaning the yachts, and I was cleaning the outside of the boats and the yachts and stuff. And I quite quickly realized that that if one was going to achieve anything in life, one needed to get off their chair and get moving. And the people that I was seeing in Monte Carlo to Cannes and Nice and all these fancy places in Europe, I would look at them and I would say, well, what do you have that we don't? And how did you actually get onto now owning this yacht or being on this yacht? And a lot of the time you would see a lot of insecurities with these individuals. You would see a lot of sadness, and you would realize that it doesn't take making money to be happy, or to have money to be happy. It's, again, what we touched on, it's the journey of going through it. It's the reason of why you're doing it. What is your why? And if your why has got strong values and beliefs attached around your why, you are in a better situation of actually building something that is meaningful and that is going to actually be sustainable and make a difference. If your intention from the get-go is to make a quick buck, to screw over this person so that you can get a leg over them, eventually it will come up and it will catch up with you, and you will be sitting there knowing at the end of it that it wasn't worth it. And going through how that influenced me now, reflecting 8-9 years later, I'm seeing how that did impact my life, and that it built the values and the belief system prior to even coming up with the idea that this is what I wanted to be as a human being. This is how I wanted to act as in my life, and this is how I wanted to approach my life.
And then 3.5 years later, you come back into the country, you go into the travel industry, you set up a business there, but that business opens up, doors, or opens up an opportunity into the business that you're currently in now. Just tell us about that journey, how those experiences influence, you actually conceptualizing and starting the business.
So the first concept was a travel-related concept. It was an online travel agency, and coming from abroad, coming back into South Africa, when speaking about my amazing time overseas and how exciting it was, the problem that I identified, and remember, I was looking at problems and trying to create solutions, when expressing how much fun it was and what an experience it was that my friends and family members would always complain about the cost of travel. Oh, I would love to go to this place, but it's so expensive. Oh, it's so expensive, it's so expensive. But then I would see with those same individuals, maybe on a Friday night, spending a bit too much money at the bar, or buying frivolous things, that they really didn't need. And what I attached to the two was that it wasn't that the individual didn't have money, it just they didn't have the full amount of money in order to go and book a very expensive travel experience. But that and that was when the light bulb came on, where I was like, well, if you could create a savings plan for these types of individuals, you will get more people traveling, because you would take the total cost of that travel experience and break it down into piecemeal payments. And that was the start of the business, FOMO Travel. And we had made some money from working overseas, and I decided this is what I was going to do. I said, I'm sitting on this money. What is it for? It was all for experience, and that I would rather give this a shot. So self-funded startup. I put my whole entire savings into the business. I had no idea how to build technology, build a website, even open up a business bank account, if I go to that. And it was through trial and error and a lot of failure and a lot of scars to show from it. But we managed to put that business together, get it to market. And that business for 3 years turned into a very successful business. We ran it. We won some amazing accolades, and we sent thousands of people to all places of the world. Some people that had never ever left the country or never ever left their city and managed to go to Durban, or people that dreamed of a destination wedding that now made it possible that they could now put it on a payment plan. But it was through that journey itself, and this happens with so many businesses, and we can maybe tap onto that a bit more. But it was through the operational work of that business that we identified that if we really were going to scale that travel idea, we needed a recurring payment system to really assist us. I mean, we did it very rudimentarily, MVP, and it was predominantly being run off Excel. Now you can only do that. You can only do that for so long, especially when you start getting scale. And we couldn't find anything in the market that would serve us for that. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, this is now 5 years ago, and we then started saying, well, if we were going to do this, we're going to have to build it ourselves. And we started on that journey of building that technology. And little did we know that technology was the LayUp business that we sit with today. And we all know what happened over the last 2 years with COVID. And no one could have foresaw COVID coming. No one could have been like, being a thought.
It's happening.
Yeah,
it's been
the greatest prophets didn't.
The prophets or any been like, oh no, this is going to happen. And somehow, by luck or by crook, we, a year prior to COVID coming, we started embarking on the build of that technology. And if it wasn't for that decision, there would be no LayUp business today, because if we had gone full kitchen sink into just trading with the travel business, we would have unfortunately hit COVID, and we all know what happened with the travel industry, and it would have been a very difficult scenario to have and to keep that business afloat for that period of time. But it was the fact that we had embarked on that, the LayUp business, that allowed us, when COVID happened, to then launch in the digital labor market with our system, that gave us the traction that we needed to actually make this a business, a viable business. And that is, when reflecting, such a special and lucky scenario to have happened.
Lucky for sure.
Lucky for sure.
Definitely.
But it took action. Yeah. It took action. It wasn't that it came from the sky. There were decisions and conversations and difficult conversations to have that thankfully worked out. And this is the whole thing about entrepreneurship in my mind, is what it takes is getting off your chair and showing up consistently. That is the thing, is that a lot of people get ideas and they look at the exciting part of entrepreneurship and the wins, and they don't consider the losses and the difficult times and the lonely times. And then they go in, and when they get knocked off their horse, they quite quickly can cancel and stop what they're doing. But if you take that mindset that you're going to have to consistently, day by day, show up in order to actually make this a success, then people are going to have a little bit more thicker skin to get through those difficult times.
But guys, before we continue further down this LayUp and traveling and all these issues here, please remember to share, comment, like, and click on that notification button, because that makes us aware that you guys are watching and you like our content. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles at Cooler Biz on all. That's our handle on that one, on all social platforms. All right. So I think you were about to ask something, because mine
No. I was going back to your journey coming from a self-funded business. And I'm sure you probably took some money from your travel business, invested it into this business, but at some stage you realized you needed investors. But I'm 100% sure, Andrew, there were hardships. You speak about those now. The fact that, many people speak about the good, what has been great about the business, but neglect speaking about some of the hardships. What were your hardships, that you faced?
Sure. Too many to probably mention on this podcast, but look, COVID was a thing that was a crazy experience. prior to COVID, I was living in Cape Town. I had the travel business, and I was just launching this business, the LayUp business. And we did take the funds from the travel business into the payments business, and that allowed us to get to market with that. But it was only so limiting, and it could only get us so far. So now in a world where no one can meet one another, no one can go face to face in offices, hiring staff, getting the team up and running, getting businesses to trust us and to onboard us, and that year was an incredibly difficult year. It then came to the end of the year where we needed to raise capital, and obviously we didn't wait until the last month to start this, but started way earlier in the year, and it ran until where I say to you, there was a month where no one got salaries, and on the 31st of December 2020, I was at the top floor of the Weber and Wenzel building in Johannesburg here, signing agreements that would then bring in the capital for us to keep the lights on. And that's how close to our stay it got, where we had to beg some of the staff members in order to continue to work for a month with no pay, and that we would close this capital raise within 30 days time, which we managed to do on the last day of the year, and that's how close it got. That's how close it got, and so I mean there have been incredible hardships that we've managed to overcome, and I'm sure there are still going to be many more hardships to face. So I don't feel like now it's going to be the smooth sailing approach and we're just going to skyrocket. It's going to be definitely an up and down process, and I think the fact that I've managed to go through the one startup into the second startup, go through a time where the world was turned on its head, has built the character and the strength to know what it's like to be with your back against the wall. And it's made me a much stronger entrepreneur and founder, put it that way.
But I'm sure some days you step out of being Andrew and you speak to Andrew. What do you say to Andrew?
I'll give two answers to that, because I think the answer for how I talk to myself for the longest was not how I talk to myself today, which is quite different. And the person that I used to talk to myself was a very I used to really be very condescending to myself, and talk badly to myself and say, you failed and you're stupid and you haven't got this right and you don't know what you're talking about, and other people are so much more experienced and they've got masters and
poor Andrew,
and a very belittling way that I spoke to myself, and I've worked through that. I've worked through that through this journey where I've had to stop and look at what I was doing to myself, because it was effectively harming myself. I was negatively affecting the way that I was seeing the world, how the world was seeing me, and with that type of negative mindset, you will attract other negative things that come to your life. And when I was able through the work that we spoke about in the beginning, through the work, shift that mindset, and look at the world positively and look at myself positively, and be grateful to myself, things started changing and positive things started coming into my life, and I definitely can see a difference in terms of the way I view the world and the way that the world views me, and I'm taking rather approach of not trying to force things, but rather allow things to happen as they should, and then through your influence, my influence, guide the best narrative that I'm looking to get.
Interesting.
And funny enough, when you say that, when you say that at the time you were so condescending to yourself, you ostracized your own self against something else, then to get to a point where you are now admitting this, because remember at the time when you were saying these things to yourself, you were not aware how badly you are actually disadvantaging yourself. Because with every bad word you say, it's 2 steps backwards, right? So that those are things that you have to deal with. And now I would say that with that experience and now having to speak life to yourself, I think it's quite key now for you to identify and help others to say, hey, I've been there. You know, you don't have to go that route, right? Because I also sometimes tell people that, you know what, look here, there's only one me, right? If anything else, if you can't get it from me, you can't get it from another me anywhere else. So if I'm not okay, I'm not okay. Let me deal with me so that I can come back a better person, you know? But then again, you would not know what a better person is if you haven't really wanted to be a better person or seen it from someone else. And plus, again, having to manage the issues of seeing it from somebody else in realistic lenses, right? Not from, I saw that Ferrari, I want to have it, he's human, I can have it too. But seeing from a realistic eyes to say, that man is human, the sacrifices that he's made, he's worked hard to get there, it's not an overnight thing, which is something that our youth today are suffering from, especially the guys within their early 20s, right? They look at an Andrew who's passing his early 30s, right? And saying, okay, Andrew is probably driving a Ferrari, me and him are the same height, we go to the same places, why am I not getting a Ferrari? Not understanding that Andrew firstly is 8 years ahead, right, in age, and that means 8 years of experience that has taken place, hardships, accolades, and everything else. But you wake up because you're in the same space as them, and you think that you deserve to be in that space, right? And that's one of the key things that is affecting our youth. Do you understand? So the reason why I put this to light is that you moved a business where you said, okay, we're going to do travel. There's people that want to go, but they can't go because of they don't have the outright capital to acquire that whatever service or product that is. But I'm going to enlighten them that there's other ways we can do that, and I will be that solution. I will not suggest it, but I'll also be that solution, right? And then from there on, you moved on to say, okay, COVID has hit me like everybody else, right? Yes, we can say travel, yes, but everybody else got affected. Now you're saying to yourself, let me look at my inventory. Let me look at my skill set. Let me look at everything that I have here, IP and everything. What would still be relevant? People pay, right? And how do I then say to myself, how do I take this now to market? Now you have a very a talent that I'm picking up as you're saying here. You have a talent of stealing money here and putting it here and it here and putting it here. Needless to say, you may not be stealing, but it's from your own account. But you took money from your own 3.5 years of being a cleaner in yachts, right? When we see yachts, we see the nice champagnes. You don't care who cleans it. You know that life on the other end, right? You took that and then you went on to have it onto Formo, right? Then you took what Formo has built because it's at a disadvantage at the moment. Let's move it over to something else. But then you've now realized that there's a pattern in terms of these consumers and stuff like that. But I'm definitely sure that this is not something that you woke up and thought of. You had to hit the wall somehow, and then somebody said, come here, let me sit you down. And I'm sure that's one of those mentors that you mentioned earlier that told you that, hey, you might have something working here, don't close up shop. Maybe close that department, but don't close up shop.
That is the truth. Yeah, I'm obsessed about the concept. I'm obsessed about the problem that we're trying to solve, and it's mushroomed out. It was the same problem in the travel business, in that we were providing a solution for people to be able to now pay for something that they previously couldn't afford. And that's the same premise of what we're doing today, but it's being done on a much larger scale. It's combining businesses and consumers with a now easy way of making those payments convenient, trustworthiness, reliability, and fast and affordable. You know, those are the things that when you start talking about the payments industry, financial industry, that is a requirement. It's a requirement for it to be quick. It's a requirement for it to be reliable. So, but what people don't realize, to make it quick and make it reliable is a huge amount of work. It's a huge amount of development time, relationships built, integrations into the various banking systems. And yes, it's the project has become so much bigger. But with that snowball, it's made it mean so much more, because that little me that started maybe when I was writing the little ideas in the book had something in him that wanted to change the world. And I really do believe that this solution has got the legs in order to do that. And that's what wakes me up at 4 o'clock every morning and makes me constantly think about it. You know, to friends and girlfriends and stuff, you know, to constantly be shouting at me for either being on my phone or taking work calls or tinkering, not being present, and it is not a good thing. I should be juggling and not working all the time. But it's because I'm so obsessed about it, and it's because I'm so passionate and I really do love what I do, that it makes it not work, but it rather makes it something that I can sink my teeth into and be inspired by.
And where do you see, you know, fintech in South Africa? Where do you see that going in a number of years from now?
So I see that we're at a precipice of change. There's a massive wave coming of new payment technology, of a consumer base that wasn't yet fully online or banked, that the ability of getting people to having smartphones and accessibility towards internet and a stable fiber is going to bring a wave of consumers on that's going to exponentially grow this market. With the ability of remittance payments across Africa becoming easier, and the ability of trade between our African countries becomes accessible, you're going to see a financial system that is for Africa. And that's super exciting for the space that we're in, because we want to scale this into as many places of Africa as we can, because this is the place that needs it the most. And if we can create a new way to pay without credit that doesn't risk that consumer in going into unwarranted debt, or put that consumer into having to lose his house or lose his car or lose his family members due to mistakes made, we would have done something very powerful in our country.
I guess it is very powerful in what you're saying. The fact that it's a payment system, it's a whole, you know, movement of payments without credit. And I must say it must be, you know, one of the most powerful things and necessary for Africa. Because, you know, many of the people in this continent, you do know what's the thinking behind credit. Either people don't believe in credit. You have, you know, a lot of countries where even when you buy something on credit, you look down upon. There's so just so many things attached to credit as a concept in the African continent. The fact that you're giving exactly what people believe in. Trust you me. After you give me your ideas book, I'm sure this business is going to be there in the next 10 years.
Yeah, no. Very long way for us to go to really achieving the vision and mission we've set out. We need to get this solution into the hands of the people, and that's both the business and the consumer. And when we say business, we're saying your trader, your manufacturer, that's manufacturing a table or chair. Your suppliers, your communities, give them the technology that they need, and then the consumer, give them that convenience that allows them now to make those payments in a trustworthy, reliable, and fast way. That's interest free, always interest free, and it will always stay like that. We are interest free solution to the consumer. It's free to use it as a consumer, and it's the perfect way for you to now secure a set of goods or services with paying in interest-free installment and piecemeal payments. And the vision is to get this into every place of this country that can now give those businesses an opportunity to tap into those consumers, and those consumers to be able to tap into those businesses. And that's now going to create that environment for change.
And now, sorry, you wanted to go, but
no. Just my last question. For an aspiring fintech entrepreneur, it's someone who looks at fintech and sees the future that you see. He spoke earlier about red tape. He spoke earlier about barriers to market, just the difficulty of setting up a fintech business. Where do you see possibilities of easing up some of these difficult, things about setting up this business? How can we make it simple?
There's some amazing associations that are being developed at the moment. There's one that comes to the top of mind, Fintech Association of South Africa. These are the bodies that are being developed by the banking industry. It's going to be the place where those startups should go to. They can share their concepts, talk about how they're wanting to do it, and they will get very knowledgeable advice as to what needs to happen in terms of the various licenses that one would need to get, the integrations one would need to do if it was a banking integration or gateway integration. And for anyone really starting, those are the best places to go look. Do your research there, do the investigation before you even go out to look and raise for capital. The investigation, the research all start at the beginning, and is a very, very critical time of your business journey. Spending the time on the research and understanding the market and understanding all the various pieces of how you're going to put this car together is going to save you a lot of time and heartache further down the line when you're just finding out things when you're 2 or 3 years down the line. So those associations are great to go to. The other idea would be to reach out to other entrepreneurs. Collaboration. How can we work together? This is what I'm doing. Is your technology capable of doing this? There's not enough of that. There's really not enough of that, and I really hope to see that change over the next decade. Globally, you hear it, but just in South Africa, there isn't a premise of collaboration. It's very much the opposite. It's very much the and what you want to start seeing is that more collaborative approach. Your larger businesses, your larger, more successful fintechs that have reached their unicorn status and stuff should be looking down at innovation that's coming through and assisting and guiding those people through that journey.
No, that makes sense. And now I see you guys have done quite a lot of great things You guys got the MTN Business App Award, and I saw that you also one of the panelists for the Africa Fintech Summit. So I see that all of these accolades that you guys have won, all these invitations that you guys have won, are you guys seeing opportunities in reinvesting into the community that actually prove your content? Because remember, you can sit here and provide this this opportunity of saying, LayUp, we do all these things, and you only find that you sign up maybe a retailer in Diepsloot who has multiple branches, but the people utilize the LayUp, the branch in Diepsloot utilizes more LayUps than outright payments. And obviously that tells you that you need to be empowering that community, right? To say that community might be my future employees or my future business partners or communities that I can collaborate with, right? I know, of course, that you guys are still a startup, right? But are those some of the plans that you guys have in terms of CSI and all of those things?
Most definitely. You know, exactly what I mentioned earlier around getting this through to the people. It's getting this into the communities. It's around identifying the problems that they're facing, and this technology really makes things more convenient. And then it's about working with those communities as to what we can do to enhance those. How can we come up with more innovation? How can you come up with innovation and come part of the company or create a partnership with your idea? That's exactly the vision that I have in terms of creating this collaborative ecosystem that's inclusive. And that does not discriminate. You know, the difficulty of getting through that red tape that we spoke about might be the entire capital raise for a guy that's just started out. You know, so what does he value more? Is chicken and egg? You know, how does he get to getting the license without getting the customers? And so it's businesses that like us that are on that journey. We definitely still got a long way to go, but it's we are one of those type of companies that I would see in years to come being able to look down and assist where we can.
No, definitely. So my before we close, my question would be, how do you sleep? Like, you've got gang worth of ideas in your head and the social impact that you want to play. How do you fall asleep? Do you need tablets for that? I understand you said you wake up at 4, but you didn't mention what time you sleep. Maybe you sleep at 3 and you wake up at 4. We don't know.
Me, I want the book. Me, I want the ideas book. If I can get that, I'm sorted.
I'm happy to share some of the ideas there. Sleep is limited of late, and I will say that sleep is critical. Critical. But I can tell you that when I do sleep, although limited, because I am sometimes doing late hours and I do have late calls overseas sometimes, and I do actually like getting up early, and I use that early time for me. But it is limited, and in actual fact, I actually sleep incredibly well over that time. And why I feel that I'm able to do that, it goes back to that life story in the beginning. If I know that I have got the right set of values and the right set of belief systems, that I know that I'm doing the right thing, I can sleep comfortably on my pillow. If I'm going to bed and I'm thinking about screwing this person over and beating this person and stuff, and feeling I'm not going to be I'm not going to be at peace. I'm not going to be at peace. And it took learning to go through that. And I can tell you that I'm better off in terms of my sleep quality these days.
You can woosah.
Yeah, man. It can be super overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it a bit. Entrepreneurship is a lonely place sometimes.
It is.
And not enough people talk, and that's why I think this podcast is a great platform for that. To be able to engage, connect with individuals around some of the struggles that they're going to, and I hope that happens with this podcast. That it creates a conversation.
It does,
because people should be able to talk about it. A lot of times you feel that when you fail, you need to shy away from society and from your friends or family or people that you love or your investors, and that's the total opposite thing that you should be doing. You need to almost fall into it forward and be like, okay, I stand up and I take full ownership of the failure. Once you take that ownership of the failure, you're then able to then objectively address that failure, do the post-mortem of what's caused that, and that will then develop the growth for you to not make that mistake again or to go down a different road. People are too scared that if I fail, the game is over. The game is not over. You get to decide when the game is over.
Just changing your boots.
And that's the game of life. So it might be that you're wearing one set of boots and then you're wearing another set of boots, and it's because you are taking that type of fail forward approach, you will then consistently grow. And I think it's important that people know that there's a platform that people can express what they're going through, share it, talk to the people around some of the things that are going on, and that will be set you up better for success.
Yeah. Before you go, you spoke earlier about the diary of a CEO, Steve Bartlett, and I want you to play the Steve Bartlett game before you leave. You're gonna leave a question for the next guest, and our promise is we will ask that guest the question.
Okay, so let's try to think of a question. I was put on the spot there. If you would do anything differently, and I don't know who you're going to bring on, but if you would do anything differently, would you do it again?
Yeah. Okay. We've got it.
I mean, it could be a bomb. It could throw the person off. Guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much, my man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you making time.
Thank you so much. Really lovely to meet you guys. Thank you.
No, we appreciate you guys as well at home for joining us and giving us your most sacred time with us, And most especially right now for all the aspiring entrepreneurs and people that want to know more about entrepreneurs and want to be in the same space. Currently, Kula is working on a Kula breakfast session where you guys can come in and be able to interact with some of the guests that we've had.
Yes.
So look out for the dates, and we will be able to send you guys a special invite, and then we can be able to engage some more. Okay. So I think we had a great one. Thanks, Andrew, once again, man.
Thank you, guys.
Keep doing what you guys are doing. I think it's one of the greatest things ever. I'd like to see you guys scale up. And as you scale up, you're hiring more people, so that's great.
Yes.
Definitely, that's what you want to see you guys going further and breaking those red tapes, making people have access to those basic financial products that would actually change their lives. The benefit of spreading payments across, allowing more disposable income to be in people's houses is quite amazing, and people should be able to explore those opportunities. But without that being said, I could say we wish you all the best.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
And how can people get a hold of you or your business?
So the website is layup.co.za, LayUp .co.za. we've got over 500 businesses that you can go and look and check out with online and in-store businesses on our store directory.
Yeah.
Our contact number for our call center is 087 094 5555, and call us and we will respond and get back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you once again. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. And do follow us on our social media platforms. We are on at Kula Biz, one handle on every social media platform, even there on LinkedIn. Where some other people make the deals. We are there. Yeah. Guys, thank you, and see you next week Friday with another banging episode. Bye-bye.
So can one day buy a Ferrari?
Soon.
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 No, definitely. That's good.
Yeah.